Welcome to another edition of The Story Behind the Car. I'm with Jay, and this is he's the owner and driver of the 1918 American LaFrance, and it was a fire truck at one time, correct?
Right. It was a fire truck when it started out. It was a small town in Oklahoma. I'm not drawing the name right now, but it was in Oklahoma. And it was cut down and made into a Speedster. People did that like in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but I think it was probably 50s or 60s. They
Yes.
did that.
And I can't imagine a chain drive. It's got to be loud and slinging oil.
Yeah, it slings oil. It is loud. The oil comes out of so it's got a transaxle.
Okay.
And those are jack shafts that come out of the transaxle. And when it gets hot, like on a day like this, and certainly when we go through the desert areas,
Yes.
it just comes out and the jack shaft and it just flings at you.
And where is it a separate oil tank, I guess?
Well, the transaxle is full of, we use 1,500 weight oil in there. So that's what's in there.
Yes.
And that's what comes out. And so it flows quite a bit when the hotter it gets. So
Okay.
Today it wasn't too bad, but some days it gets really bad.
Yeah, you get out to Tucumcari and you're going to be...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or Death Valley. We go through Death Valley
Yes.
too. So
Yes.
it really comes out then.
And when you just started in Springfield, we're in Collinsville, Illinois.
Right, it's our first stop.
Was the car clean this morning?
No.
Okay.
We haven't cleaned this. I've had this 25 years. I've had it in museums a number of times, and I always tell them, I said, I'll lend it to you, but you can't clean it.
Okay.
Because there's just
the battle damage.
Yeah, I just like it like that.
Yeah,
that's the way it's supposed to be.
It's got a great look.
Yeah.
And what is the significance of your logo and is that your company?
Wandering Troubadours of Finland. I'm Finnish, and so that was kind of a way to use the initials WTF without getting into a lot of trouble with family-oriented race like this.
Yeah.
So
in every race, you always finish. So
we do.
Yeah.
To be finished is to win.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is this whole vehicle is unique. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. It's it's kind of a riot to drive because not only do you have chain drive, but you have these are hickory spokes. So those are wooden spoked wheels. It only has brakes in the back, and really the brake that you see there is the foot service brake, but I use the hand brake to stop it and slow it.
Okay.
This foot brake, those really don't work very often.
Yes.
And the reason I say they don't work very often is because if you look at these drums, those are huge drums, and if you tighten those to the point where they work when it's cold, once they get hot, the drum will expand so much it'll expand into the brakes, and so it'll lock up.
Yes.
So the first year that I ran this on the race, it started smoking going down the highway, and I couldn't figure out what was going wrong, and then I figured out that the brakes were too tight, so you had to let them cool down. There's water here. We use water to cool it down.
Oh, the green. Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe it was extra fuel. That's
well, we have to cool these down a lot. Like if we're going down hills or something, there's no brakes in the front.
Okay.
So all the braking is in the rear, and so we have to cool the brakes down fairly often.
Yes. And with wooden wheels, I've read that in the old days they would pull into a stream or to get them swell.
Yeah, to fatten them up.
Yeah.
Yep. I just spray them with water.
Yeah.
But they've been pretty good. So I tightened them. The front ones I tighten fairly often. The rear ones you have to take the drum assembly off to tighten the spokes. I did that this spring.
Okay.
And probably did it maybe 4 years before that, and they were pretty loose.
Yes.
So, but I, it's like this is. Every morning I go by and just hip check it.
Yeah.
And that's how you test to see if your spokes are in good shape. Exactly right.
Yeah. Kind of like an airplane where they do the safety check before they take off.
Yeah, this is maybe not as scientific, but I've got, I don't know, I've probably put 40 or 50,000 miles on this. And so
oh my gosh.
I know it pretty well. And as a result, I kind of know what to look for before it happens.
Yeah.
But this has finished every race that it's been in since I've had it. Now, the prior owners I know didn't, I think I think they folded a couple of times in the 80s and 90s when it was run, but this was at the Imperial Palace collection for quite a few years. And just sat, and then I bought it and recommissioned it, at least the motor anyway.
Yeah.
And I've had it on the road ever since. But I drive it all the time. It's really, once you get used to it, and as long as you understand the limitations, particularly in braking and steering, just leave some distance and you're fine.
Yeah. And can you tell us as far as the process of driving it and the gears and the brakes? And
yeah, so you see there's a magneto. It's got an old Bosch magneto.
Okay.
It also has a distributor, so we run both at the same time. And you have to time those two about 5 degrees apart, because one is it's a T-head motor, so the distributor is on the exhaust side and the magneto's on the intake side, and they're that far apart.
Okay.
And so about 5 degrees is what I've figured to if you're going to run them simultaneously, what you do. This is the main brake. This is a hand brake. Okay. But it's the main brake that you use, and so. Of the cars that I have, this is really the only one I don't let people drive. Not because it's too valuable or anything like. It's just that people don't know that if they step on that, it's not going to work. Yes. And so the race director a couple of years ago, who has brass era cars, has a bunch of stuff. He wanted to drive this. I said, "Well, we'll take it to a parking lot." He goes, "I don't need it." I said, "No, in the parking lot." And the first thing he does, he comes up toward a pylon and he's slamming on the brake. And I'm like, "Hand brake, hand brake." He's like, "Because you forget." Yeah. And so that's your brake. This is it's reverse of everything. That's first. So out and down is first. That's reverse. That's second. That's third. They're straight cut brass gears, and so you have to. And they're synchronized, not synchronized, and so you have to be pretty careful. Yeah, I don't necessarily double clutch it, but you have to you have to match the speed. Yeah, it only runs at about 1,200, 1,500 RPM or something like that. And how do you advance the fuel? Is it got a pedal or is it hand? Yeah, pedal's in the middle. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so you got a clutch, pedal in the middle. Okay. This is advanced retard. So when you start it, up is retard, down is advanced. When you're driving, you leave it down. Yes. If you start hitting some hills and you're lugging, retard it a bit so it doesn't. And there's a sight glass to show you where the oil is pumping through, and so it's not an oil pressure gauge; it's a sight glass. And when you're going uphill and you see it's lugging, it'll stop. The oil will stop coming out of that, and that means you got to flip that back and retard it a little bit so you're not losing your oil pressure too much.
When you start it, you need to advance it. You said.
You retard it when you start it.
Oh, you retard it.
Yep.
What is top speed on the car?
We've had it over 80, and there's a little bit left, but it's just it's a little flaky, and so there's no shocks on it, as you can see. It has leaf springs. It actually does pretty well. Even on uneven roads, it does pretty well, but you have to be respectful of it, and if you start hitting like uneven pavement or something like that, it can start skipping at high speeds, and you don't want that to happen. Yes, that's the most unnerving thing that happens is skipping while you're going down the road.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Yep. Any does the chain ever come off, or any issues with the chain ever?
Well, we replace them every race. Usually about midway through the race. Okay. They're ANSI 100 links, and so they're an inch apart. Yes. Between pins. Okay. And we have several sets of chains in the bus, and if it starts sagging too much, I'll replace it early. But we keep it sprayed pretty good, and we get one race out of a set of chains.
Yes. Where is that fast?
But absolutely.
And you have a big crew. How many crew members do you have?
Well, today, or I think right now we have 5. Yeah. Sometimes we have as many as 10. It just depends on. This year was a little short. There people had obligations, and so not as many this year.
And what is your favorite part of the race?
Well, coming in every day is the best part, like what we're doing right now, because
Yes.
you feel like you've earned something. So
Yeah.
and today was a short day, but as you get midweek through this thing, and especially when the weather starts getting hot, or if you get, we're going to get some storms tomorrow probably, but if you, like when we go through Death Valley and Tucumcari, places like that, it'll be pretty hot. And so at the end of the day, it's pretty nice
Yeah.
to come in. Usually, so in hot weather, the way that I start out is I put my suit on, I turn on the shower cold, and I just stand underneath it with the suit on, and I get completely soaked.
Yes.
And then I come out and run. And then whenever we get gas, I buy a gallon of water and just soak myself with water. But if you do that, you stay pretty cool because you don't have a windshield, and so
Yeah.
you know. But if you don't do that, it's pretty miserable. So he's already stripped down a bit because
Okay.
he's not finished, and so he doesn't have a sauna at home.
Oh, okay.
And so
he can't prepare.
Yeah, he doesn't understand that.
I don't know how to prepare.
Yes.
It's just horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I'm looking for a cold plunge right now, though, because that's
I bet,
that's
yeah.
the routine.
I drove, I had a 64 Ford Falcon wagon that I drove
yeah.
from California on Route 66. And I had to get up at 2 in the morning to go across the desert because the car was overheating.
Oh yeah.
It took me 9 days to get from California to St. Louis.
Oh well, that's a bit of a trip.
Yeah.
This-
But I learned on that trip why my dad would stop at the biggest ball of twine and
Oh, yeah.
all those things because he had to let the car cool down. Yeah.
This one does well. It has a really big radiator. I had the radiator rebuilt. I don't know, 20 years ago or something like that. But it's really good. It has an electric fan, and not really by choice. It's just that I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago we were driving this, and just this massive noise coming from under the hood.
Yeah.
And the pulley for the fan broke up, and you can't find anything good. I would have to have something made. It's just easier to put on an electric fan, and so I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
I just took the pulley off. But now the engine's this thing is. We didn't do a lot of prep on it for the race this year. Just kind of like ready to go.
And I would imagine there's not a lot of people that know how to work on something like this, but I guess you've found enough people over the years.
There's one guy in particular. His name's Hal Fillinger, and he's in Pennsylvania, and he specializes in American LaFrance.
Okay.
And he's got a wait list.
Yeah.
But he rebuilt this whenever that was. It was in the early 2000s.
Turn it up for the man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Free. This is old school. Hit the battery box. Turn on the battery box. And we can start this guy up.
I'm hopping out.
You're hot.
So when you normally have the fuel off, but I have it on now.
Okay.
You want to go over the other side so you can experience the exhaust.
Okay.
You're right by the short. All the cars are coming. It barks. Yeah.
What's that?
It barks.
Okay.
Back up, Dad.
You're right by the short bike. Cars are coming. It barks. Yeah.
What's that?
It barks.
Okay.